All right, let's do proper intro because this is going up on YouTube. What are we doing? Well, the other day I started a poll on my YouTube community page, basically asking people, what content would they like to see on the channel? And it was pretty much unanimous that everyone wanted guides. They wanted things like the rush rundowns I create. And while I would love to just make a whole bunch of those, I'll legitimately just run out of decks. There's not like a crazy huge card pool in Rush, so I just end up running out of decks if I just made only rush rundowns, which I love making them, but I would like to have content for every week and be able to, do new things every week. And yeah, I get that people don't really care about watching me actually play the game. So I was thinking, okay, well then what kind of guides can we make? Well, that's why today is the start of my new series, which is going to be basically just how to get into Rush. Starting with budget decks. So we're going to go ahead and build the decks here, and then I'll, go over a little bit like how to get these cards, what overall the kind of cost is of all these cards, and then other things you can do to like make the decks cheaper, or if you want to go a little more expensive, how to, go on from there. And we're going to look at our first deck. So first deck we're going to talk about here is Miss Mutton. Miss Mutton. Now, why exactly are we bringing Miss Mutton as one of the budget decks? Well, the most important criteria for our budget decks is, first of all, how much real money do you have to put into the deck? How many gems do you have to put into the deck? How easy overall is it to make the deck? We're starting with Miss Mutton because it's a simple deck. It's pretty easy to play, easy to learn, and the entire deck, aside from the staples, is in a singular box. That is right. We can get our entire deck here from the Galactico Go Rush box. As you can see, I unfortunately bought this box out, but yes, as you can see here, we have, where is she? Miss Mutton, Woolly Wonderland, Plan Wee, Meet and Greed, Graveyard Grudge if you play that, Pyro Wool, Night Mutton, Brown Mutton, Pakupakuchu, Silver Wolf, and the like. So all the cards we need for the deck are in here, and the only ultra rare for Miss Mutton we need is Secret Order, which is, of course, in this box as well. So that's really why Miss Mutton's is our first deck we're going to talk about here. And basically, what we have here, 3 Plan Wee, which is SR. I believe there was 2 of them in each box, if I'm remembering what we were just looking at. Now, I'm on Galactic Oblivion in this deck. You don't really need to be playing Galactic Oblivion in this deck. He's just a good target. But if you're buying out that box, you're going to get him anyway, right? So yeah. 3 Plan Wee, 1 Silver Wolf, 3 Pakupakuchu. These are super easy to get, all 3 of them. 3 Miss Mutton. Obviously, you want 3 Miss Mutton. She's the entire focus of the deck. 3. This is the exact deck I already made a rush rundown on. Just kind of discussing it here as, the kind of the price. Another thing we're going to use to check the prices of these decks is there is actually on Duel Links meta, there is a pack opening simulator. This is the pack opening simulator on Duel Links meta. And basically what you can do here is you can just go in and check like how much it might take you to get through a box. This is a mini box, so there isn't a crazy amount of cards in a singular box. So we just go ahead and let's do a test of 10. Didn't get what we wanted. We got one Meet and Greet in 10. That's pretty good. 10. Got a Plan Wee there. So this is kind of how they like on Duel Links meta specifically, how they kind of like estimate how much a deck would cost. 45 gems, 4,500 gems, and we've gotten pretty much everything we want there. Anyway, I'm not gonna go like I'm not gonna like keep going through this. Basically the estimate for this, the estimate on Duel Links meta for the price of Miss Mutton is about 11k gems, which isn't that crazy. So let's actually change this to a more budget-friendly version of the deck. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the Galactic Oblivions. We don't need those. The only UR we're going to focus on from the Galactico Rush box is the Secret Order. We don't want Card Restoration because that is in a different set. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the Card Restoration. And we'll just take the bare minimum for our deck. So to replace those, we can check what else comes in the Galactico Rush box, maybe something else. We can also add another good budget card, which is Ancient Gear Golem. We go ahead and Ancient Gear Golem. You get this card completely for free. So it's a great include. It doesn't conflict with our skill, which I haven't mentioned. The skill we're using, Exterminal Dawn, you just get them in the card trader. It's a really it's a fine skill. It doesn't really do much, but Miss One doesn't really have like a skill that we want to use. Another card we can put in here that we're going to get from the set. We'll do one of Night Before the March. It's an all right card. We're definitely going to have it from going into the box. And basically just you reveal your Miss Mutton, and then special up to 2 excavated level 4 lower beast type monsters, which is our, you know, rest of our guys. Obviously, we'd lose any spell traps that get revealed with this, but that's fine. But then is one of, we add another one of our beast type MST. This card is so it says it was in the tag duel tournament. I think you can just get it from tickets now. I think it's a ticket card now. That's where you kind of get that. We're not going to dwell on this forever. So this is basically for the YouTube video. This is kind of where we're looking for the Miss Mutton deck. The estimate on Duel Links meta for the price of this deck is about 12k gems, 12, 11, depending on like how your pulls go. But this is basically the idea. Obviously, the extra deck here doesn't matter because it's not an extra deck. I just put like fake cards in the extra deck so the opponents don't know what exactly I'm playing. But this is the basic idea. So we have Miss Mutton, we have the Secret Order, and then our other like staples we're playing Tribute to the Doomed, Buffered Slime, and Widespread Ruin, which I think it's... Let me get the exact price of each of these from their special set. About extra 3k gems, but these are like staples you'll be playing in almost any deck. So if you want to choose these, you can choose these as the staples to buy for your first deck. Now, Miss Mutton, that was just the first deck we have. We have a couple more, because if you are going into the Galactic Go Rush box to build Miss Mutton, there's actually another deck you can get at the same time. So basically, the idea is building a cheaper deck to start with. Miss Mutton, you'll probably be able to first, but as you're building up the cards for Miss Mutton, that is when you get the cards to also make Light Galaxy. So you're already going for the 3 secret orders from the box to make Miss Mutton. So at the same time, you can keep spending all the gems you get from just playing the Miss Mutton deck, and eventually you'll be able to build Light Galaxy. Of course, you have the Strange Traveler, he's included in the box, Klein in the box, Structure deck card. Transatlantic is of course really good, but you do need to go into this Structure deck here, which is actually pretty decent in its own right for another box, on the ban list that is not currently in effect. So it's coming in the future as of recording. This card, Grey Storm Reverie, is going to Unlimited. So this deck is actually kind of good if you want another budget. I just don't really have a version of this built, so I can't really show that off. But this is a good structure to go ahead and buy. In the box, in the box, in the box. Get this from playing Udius. Again, like I said before, it's like $7 to your deck, or if you have the gems, $9.50. You'll need this in most decks. In the box, same thing, we already talked about this, and in the box. There's of course changes you can make, like to really fill out the deck more, and with the current meta, you would also go into something like Rice Terrace, but we're trying to keep this within a budget. So this is what we're looking at. Of course, like I said before, the extra deck is completely fake. These are just blanks, so people don't know what I'm playing. But this is the basic idea. Wrong skill, by the way. I changed the skill to do a mission, and I never changed it back. Anyway, so yeah, not to go as crazy in depth, but as you're building up from, I mean, the Miss Mutton deck, we do get the cards for this one, the Light Galaxy deck, which it's good. It's a really good deck. I highly recommend it. It's how we're doing like budget friendly, because we're taking a deck and we're building up to another one. So we start with Miss Mutton, build up, get all the cards, boom, Light Galaxy. And again, I'm not going to go too in depth. I have full guides, rush rundowns, which if you're not familiar are 10-minute testing like videos, if you watch MBT, on my channel for both Miss Mutton and Light Galaxy. So if you want to see more of how these decks kind of work, you can go check those out. So those two are kind of a package deal. And now there is another deck I would like to take a look at. It's actually a bit of an older deck, but is way more free to play for. So the previous two decks were about 12k gems in our budget, but let's go a little cheaper. Go to 8 and estimate 8k gems. If I can find where I have it. All right. So our next budget deck, we have Harpies. Harpy is it's a classic, I'd say. Harpy came out, I believe, 3 formats ago is when the Harpy deck actually released into the game. And the special thing about Harpies is that a big chunk of the deck are obtainable through special campaigns. like the Harpy Lady Sisters, you just kind of get them through missions. That's kind of how you obtain those cards. The Harpy Ladies themselves, they are ticket cards. I think you can also, yeah, they're like given out as rewards for like every single event that's ever happened, and they're also tickets. The rest of our deck, aside from the Cyber Tech Alligator, are in Genesis Maximum as well. Rhythmical, this is a trader card. If you don't have triple Rhythmical, I would recommend like checking out the card trader and just kind of like grabbing them as you find them. So yeah, this is a ultra cheap deck. The one UR we need to pull from Gen Max for the deck is this one Harpy Spat Dragon. Now, I don't have a rundown video of this deck, so I'll kind of like talk about how the deck kind of like functions really. So obviously the 3 Harpies are a max monster, the Harpy Lady Sisters here, and basically what they do is they pretty much just put back winged beasts that are in grave that you know, tribute off for them or tribute off for the Harpy Spat Dragon, and you just put them back and get big damage boosts. As well, the same thing kind of with Hysteric Force, which is also a skill you get from missions. It just boosts the Harpy Lady Sisters and forces the opponent to have an attack position monster, so you can just attack into that monster. So that's kind of like what we've kind of built our little spell trap lineup with. Double Talismanic Seal Array, which is also in Gen Max. Again, we're back with the Tribute and we're back with the Widespread. We're pretty much keeping these in our decks here, just to kind of like keep everything down to like the same budget. So if you are like kind of following along with this video in terms of like how you're building your like repertoire of decks, you're kind of like not spending out of anything, because like this deck could play Negate Attack. Negate Attack is probably better than Widespread in most situations, but we're kind of keeping everything like the same and together, so you're not like spending out multiple times over. As well, of course, like there are other like, again, other staples that you could be buying and adding to the deck. You'd replace pigeons with more staples. You go to the 1 Talismanic Seal Array at the other staples, but we're trying to keep this really cheap, as little as possible. This deck specifically costs about 8k gems as estimated by Duel Links Meta. Now, we are going into Gen Max, which means there is another deck we can build alongside this. We got Cyber. Again, Cybers is another deck you can build. All the cards are in Gen Max. Bring it up here. Gen Max, level up reward, Gen Max, Gen Max, Gen Max, Gen Max, Gen Max, Gen Max, level up reward, and such. This is where we're kind of going. Like, so we went from Ms. Mutton to Light Galaxy. Now we're doing Harpies to Cybers. Cybers is a little bit more expensive than Harpies. The estimate is kind of like a double gem cost, but the deck is another deck you can build as you build up Harpies. The skill is actually very relevant still. Like what I mean is the skill keeps the deck relevant. So the Maximum Ragnarok skill basically just mass lowers the opponent's like attacks, and if you target your own monsters, can make them double tributes. I don't have a guide for Cybers. It was kind of like when I was like doing the first wave of Rush rundowns, it just wasn't a deck I was that interested in making like content of. But now here we are, got the deck. So because of how important the max monsters, I have switched the Tribute to the Doom for a monster reincarnation. It does cost pretty much the same price, so you can kind of like choose there. Okay, well, do I want reincarnation or do I want tribute? It's really up to you. I think the reincarnation adds more consistency to the summoning of the max monster, which is why I put it in the deck. As well, this deck is also has this Heavenly Bliss card. It's also like not that important, so let's actually take it out. So let's say when we go to Cybers, we kind of like expand that a little bit more, and now we're playing like some better cards. Another reason why I'm bringing up Cybers right now is because the ban list that isn't in effect yet does put Atrashoot Hydron to 3, meaning this deck can switch out Widespread for Negate Attack, which is huge. Again, you would have to pay more money if you want to do that, but it is really good. The deck is very, very, very powerful. And finally, one more deck. And I hate to say this is the cheapest one we're going to be looking at today, Cyber Dragon. Now, I hate that this is where we end up, but the cheapest deck. So now, the cheapest cheapest deck of them all. Duel Links Meta estimates this deck would cost you 6.5k gems and $8. Like, what? So, to build Cyber Dragon, you need 3 Cyber Dragon structure decks, the free Ancient Gear Golem, 2 Cyber Assault, which is a special set, and then you just have to open up for minimum 2 Cyber Twins. You open the, what was it called? You open Fusion of Revolution to get at least 2 of these SR Cyber Twin Dragons, and boom, deck is basically completed. You just slot in your staples after that, you're done. Simple, easy, and it's one of the best decks in the game. So, despite everything, it all comes back to Cyber Dragon once again. Yep, Cyber Dragon being the best budget deck is why you see it everywhere. Objectively, decks like Metarion, decks like Psychics were always more powerful than Sidra, but this deck is so obscenely cheap that you just, it's so simple, it's just so easy. You can probably build Cyber Dragon super quickly if you just create a new account, and then boom, all the free stuff they give you at the start is probably enough to build this deck. As well, you get like first time bonuses, like first time discounts, I mean, on purchasing structures. So the deck becomes even cheaper after that, which is crazy. So this is basically it for our first video on how to get into Rush, the budget decks. I'm thinking maybe one of these how to get into Rush videos a week from now on. So this is budget. I think next time I'm gonna try to do straight free to play. Oh, I should say about it. YouTube viewers, thank you for watching the video. I'm going to go back to my live stream now. Thank you, YouTube.